Hey guys, it's Pam. Today I'm showing you an A-line bob, and here's the sectioning pattern. Ear to ear, standard horseshoe section on top, from the parietal ridge around to the parietal ridge. Split down the center, dividing the left from the right in the back. And I'm taking the hair and raising it to 45 degrees horizontally and choosing where I want my line. The hair is over directed straight back, and cut a square line. Just like any haircut, the graduation you choose, the elevation, how much graduation you want, how much buildup of weight you want in a haircut, is determined by your finished design. So if you have a gal that doesn't really want an A-line bob that's graduated pretty high, then naturally you would keep your elevation lower. So here I'm just establishing the line, and we'll do a little cleanup of the line afterwards, because whenever you raise hair, graduate it, there's always a little bit of hair at the lowest elevation when you comb it down to 0 or 1 length. So we're just taking parallel sections, and take your sections deep enough that you can see your guide. And if you can't see your guide, then maybe your sections are too thick or your elevation is off. Consistent sectioning and consistent elevation and finger angle will always make a precision haircut. Body position, elevation of hair, finger position, all your basics to know and to practice for consistent precision haircutting. I have an imaginary square in my mind that I'm cutting across, so I'm over directing this hair back to this imaginary square, especially in this back center panel here. If you change your finger angle one way or the other, naturally you'll change up the shape. So whatever shape you decide upon before starting, that's the shape you should continue with. If you don't change the elevation at the point behind the ear and your over direction is not consistent, you will put a different type of angle on the haircut. I'm dividing off my previous section just so you can see for consistency's sake. So the section that I'm now cutting has been brought down into that previous section. And that's a good practice so that you're always consistent. Now ideally I would have been standing directly behind her to cut this section because my body position is important. So you would not cut this section here off to the side like I'm doing. So I tried to see here, I have to bring her back through so that my body position is accurate. And here I'm showing you the elevation. At some point I'm going to maintain a lower elevation, only because in this particular haircut we did not want the graduation to rise too high to suit the client's needs. Our model didn't care to have it too high up. Again, keeping nice clean sections, a width that you can see your guide, not so small that you're taking a lot of time to cut a haircut, but not so big that you actually can't see your guide. Again, ideally I would be standing directly behind her body. Graduating hair is fundamental to understanding hair cutting. If you cut hair, if you want to graduate hair horizontally, you'll build up a little stronger weight. If you graduate hair vertically, it tends to be a little bit softer. But you can cross-check a horizontal graduated haircut vertically. And it's always ideal to cross-check your work. Sometimes we don't take the time to do this, and it really only takes another 2 or 3 minutes. So whether you cross-check it wet or you cross-check it dry or both. So again, we're going to over direct this hair back. And you can see now that we're above the ear. We're starting to go into the sides. And you could over direct it completely back to an imaginary square, but I had an imaginary diagonal line that would run right past her shoulder. So when I cut hair, I imagine shapes floating out off the head that I have to bring the hair to, if that makes sense. Like a coloring book, it has all the edges for you and you have to color inside. Well, I make all the edges in my imagination and I follow it. So my hand is always coming back to this imaginary space of a shape that I want to put into the haircut. So when you learn about shapes in haircut, your basic shapes, round, square, triangular, that's when haircutting starts to make more sense. Now, since I completed one whole side, it's going to be important for me to check consistency from the left and the right side. You have to be real mindful of my body position, my finger angle, cleanliness of my sections. And as hair cutters, we always have our weak side and our strong side. I tend to cut the left side of haircuts when I'm standing behind them shorter than the right side of haircuts. I tend to over direct this side a little bit more. So I have to be real mindful of this. And every hair cutter does. See, coming across this center. Here that hair is over directed back and the elevation starts to go lower. So what's happening is that there's a triangle in my mind, or a ladder frame, or a letter A, hovering out in space that I'm dragging that hair to. So just like an A goes down, see how the hair is going down now? That's what I imagine. So the top of the A is where my knuckles are now, and the bottom of the A is where my fingertips are. Because her haircut had previous, I think it had layering before. Yes, her hair was layered before. She wanted to change up, brought in a picture of a Hollywood movie star and said she wants to start wearing that particular haircut. And why this haircut is so good for this model is because she has gorgeous hair. It just tends to be silky fine. So the buildup of weight for this texture and density of hair is ideal. Makes her hair look a lot thicker, fuller, and accentuates the actual texture of her hair rather than takes away and showcases that maybe it's not as dense as she ideally wants. This makes it look denser. So any type of graduation is going to make finer hair look thicker and fuller. And it's possible that you don't want to have too much graduation for hair that's already thick and full, because it may make it look wider and accentuate the fact that it's super thick. Once we finish all the sections underneath the parietal ridge or the horseshoe section, look for part 2 of this video where we're going to finish up the haircut, have it dried off and a little bit of flat ironing, do a little bit of detailing, and show you the finished look. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free. You can check out my work, photo work on pamperryhair.com. And if there's any other haircuts you want to see, let me know. We're trying to get models. We can only cut haircuts of, whatever someone's willing to do. So as we find them, we'll do them. Thanks for watching.